Hello, everybody, and welcome. All thanks to LD Mobile. This is NBL Overtime. Homicide Lee, and we are absolutely jam-packed. I didn't even get that long to intro you, but hello to you. You good? You boys good?
We're good.
We're good. Let's do it.
We've got signings. We've got coaching situations. We have got preseason games. But the big news that only dropped late last night, I've got to get straight into it. Space Cam is back. Cam Oliver tore it apart last year. He's back for another 2 seasons. Cairns Taipans fans are losing their mind. Neutral basketball fans around the country are losing their mind. Big fella, welcome back to NBL Overtime and the NBL.
Man, thank you. Really appreciate it. It feels good to be back. Cairns is a great place for me and my family, but it just feels good to be back and have another opportunity, man.
The way that you played last year, and we spoke a lot in the off-season, there's a great deal of interest right around the world. I'm going to ask you straight up, though, 2 years at Cairns, what made Cairns the best place for you and your family to come back and continue playing your ball?
I think just the atmosphere and everything, especially with everything with the world going on right now. I think it's probably best. Cairns is probably one of the best and biggest opportunities for me, but I love it there, man. I honestly just literally love it there. My family loves it there. I consider it probably one of like a second home to me, So I think there's probably no other place I'd rather be but Cairns right now, man. So.
Cam, big offers from all around the world throughout this off season. Big interest from enormous clubs in Europe. A massive offer from Korea. How close did you come to closely exploring or even taking one of those offers?
It was tough. I mean, me actually going to Israel this off season. That was actually a bit of a different experience for me, but I look for like more of my comfort zone and everything. But it was great to have those offers and definitely get a lot of those interests, from the other teams. But it was kind of more of just weighing out the options and seeing what's kind of really best for me and my family,
So you just mentioned that, it was a different experience for you in Israel. Compare the leagues that you played in. Obviously, you had hell of a success your first year in the NBL. What was it like for you in Israel, off and on the court?
So I went to Israel. I think that was probably one of the first leagues to kind of come back because of the pandemic. So we had sort of a bubble type of kind of feel out there in Israel, but it was weird just because I'd never been there before. So it was definitely a weird experience, but playing there in the competition and it was great for me to get there. And I actually lost weight out there, man. I was actually kind of getting skinny out there. So if you kind of look from the highlights or whatever, but it was great to be out there. The bubble kind of it was different, but it was fun to be there and actually go to the playoffs as well. So it was great for me to kind of learn, and I actually went out there by myself. Well, I didn't go out there with my family, my kids, anything. So it was weird to be out there by myself, and it actually helped me mature a lot as a man, as a basketball player, and really focus on what I have to do.
Did they have metal detectors still in the restaurants?
I don't think so. They ain't out there.
Okay.
We couldn't really go nowhere. It was literally because of the pandemic. So it was literally go back to the apartment and go back to the gym. So
okay.
Yeah, but I couldn't. I don't know about the metal detectors.
Yeah, back in the day, man, I played out there, and we literally had metal detectors in restaurants. So it was crazy.
Oh wow, yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Cam, as you were talking about those offers from around the world, my understanding is you got to a point where you're like, you know what, it's the NBA or it's the NBL for me coming up this season. Did you explore opportunities with any other NBL clubs, or was it the NBA or Cairns?
As right now, it was really just I focus a lot on just Cairns. I think I kept in contact, with Coach Mike Kelly as much as possible during the time. It was tough just because I was back at home, and of course the pandemic got completely worse back at home. So, but I just tried my best to kind of keep to myself and stay in the off season. I work out like crazy. I mean, I think this next coming NBL season, you guys are gonna really see like a whole different player, man. Just because of the things I went through and like I said, going to Israel and being by myself and maturing and, be able to continue that like through my career, it's going to be a great thing to see.
When you have a great season like you did last year and just fall out a little bit short, when you lose a game 3 in a semi-final series to the team that wins it, there's traditionally a feeling of unfinished business. Is that how you and the crew feel?
I think so. I honestly think so. I think we're actually one of the few teams to kind of have like the same exact roster, so I think it's a lot of unfinished business, man, for us to really to be that far, and the way it ended the way it ended. We played a hell of a season and a hell of a playoff season as well. So I think Cairns is definitely a team to worry about right now, man.
How great? Oh, sorry.
Ahead. No, go ahead.
How great does it feel to actually know you're going to be not only returning to the team that you had success with, but security and safety in the country that you've played some of your best basketball?
It's great, honestly. Just because I'm a family man, and that's probably one of the biggest and first priorities for me, is to be able to be comfortable and for my family to be comfortable, and for Cairns to welcome my family and to pretty much love it there. My son and everybody kind of know who King is. He's all over the place. So it's great to be there. It was great to even come back. Just because it feels comfortable. It feels like I haven't been nowhere. So, and that's my biggest thing. If my family's not comfortable, I'm sorry, I'm not comfortable. And I think that's for anybody that's a family man. So I have to go somewhere that's okay with me and security with me. And Cairns is really the best place for me.
Cam, one of the cool things for us having you re-sign and back in the league is that you're an NBA level talent. Mm-hmm. And there's anyone who has watched you play knows that. And that's having guys of that caliber in the league is great for us. What we also know is that you have serious NBA interest right now. And part of your deal, your 2-year deal with the Taipans is an NBA out clause that will allow you to follow those dreams if and when that opportunity comes your way. Is that part of the decision-making as well, going, this is a contract that works if I get that deal, and also this is a league where I know I can show my NBA capabilities?
Well, I'll probably on NBA side, I'm going to leave that kind of to my representation, leave that to my agent, and kind of go from there. But my biggest thing, I just want to come back to Cairns and just show everybody and show you guys and pretty much show the world, man. I'm really like a different player. I'm only 24, guys, so I still got a lot of room to grow, but I think each season, as much as the time goes by, I think I'm just learning and picking up on a lot of things. I think during this pandemic, actually, because I had so much downtime, I did so much like film watching of myself, and just kind of dissect the kind of type of player I am and things I need to work on, things I probably need to get better at, and I think as of right now, I just want to focus on just getting back there and show everybody like I'm really like a different player, and it's gonna be fun to watch. I'm telling you guys.
What are they
right now?
I love that, but what are they? What did you, when watch yourself, realize you have to work a little more on?
I think what like a biggest knock was probably with me, and I think I probably showcased that. I tried to as much in the NBL this last season was consistency, and being really versatile, and just kind of just pick my poison, man. I think if I can shoot the ball, man, let that thing fly, But if I gotta, go down low and then be a beast down low, man, just kind of just work on those both areas. I think that's kind of where the NBA or NBL or NBA or any type of basketball world is going. Is being a versatile type of player and be able to kind of be a jack of all trades. So I think mainly me is working on just keep doing that at a high level, at a very, very high level and keep at it.
Hey, Homicide, can you hear that? It's a collective groan because, as you know, every single NBL player watches NBL Overtime. It's a collective groan from anyone. After averaging nearly a double-double last year and getting better as the year went on, this 24-year-old's ready to get even better, and that's a worry for every other player in the league.
That is definitely a worry, but more important, when are you getting back here?
Actually, just came to Sydney probably like a few days ago. So my kid's already driving me crazy, actually, but I just got here a few days ago, so I'm trying to just see what we can do, just actually, my wife just ordered some Uno cards, so we probably just play Uno for the whole time.
That's what's up. That's what's up.
Look, something that we loved last year, Cairns Taipans fans in particular, but the entertaining brand of basketball your team played. It wasn't just winning; it was a fun place to be. But it will be a different stadium this year, at least for a little while. You might be playing in what, as Liam Santamaria has dubbed, the Snag Pit. Like, you're going to play in a Bunnings warehouse. I know you've probably seen some pictures. You haven't been able to get there yet. Are you looking forward to playing in a much different atmosphere when it does actually happen?
Yeah and no. I think it's probably just because it's a new stadium. I think it's probably one of the biggest things probably going to be different for us. But it's mainly for the fans. The fans make us feel home, and I think just having the community around them, I think having them there, I think it's probably going to be a bit smaller than actually the original Snake Pit. But the fans make us feel comfortable, and everybody there, the community, like I said, the city of Cairns is so down with the Taipans. It's ridiculous, man. So just for them to be there and have them around us, I think it's going to feel like nothing but home, regardless of where we are. We could play in the CBI if we had to, and I think they're going to make us feel like it's home.
Cam, what do you enjoy about playing for Coach Kelly?
He's just a real passionate guy, man. Probably one of the nicest guys you probably know, but it's probably on camera, but behind the camera, he can be passionate, and he's really about his players, I think, also with me, like I said earlier, about comfortability, and he's definitely a player coach. I want to make sure that you're comfortable, and he wants somebody to work hard, and he lets you play. He wants to run and gun. He wants to get down the court. He wants to play fast. And I think that's probably the best basketball you can play as of right now, especially with a young team that we have. And especially athletic team we have as well. So Coach Kelly, he's great, man. Coach of the year, man. Come on now, So,
right.
you gotta love a guy that's a coach of the year. So,
like for me, retaining your key players are key to anything, and playing overseas is very difficult. Guys get 1-year deals, do well, and then they pack their bags and they're off to another team or another country. Talk about Kawhi Noy, him being back, Majuk, and the rest of the gang that's re-signed, and how important is it to still have that cohesion and cohesiveness moving forward to this upcoming season?
I think it's probably the best thing to happen. Honestly, for Kawhi, I know it's kind of unfortunate. He wanted to do the draft and everything, and because of the pandemic, like I said, this pandemic is so crazy right now. So, but I know he's happy to be there. I know he's happy to stay with the squad. Same with Juk, same with Mirko and Nate. Like I said, like we're one of probably the few teams in NBL that has kind of like sort of the same exact team. So it's just great to have that. And obviously you guys seen like how far we went, and we want to go further than that, So, and I think as of right now, we'll just the chemistry hasn't left. We have the same exact team, and it's just great to have that new guys there. I think they're ready to work. And man, we got a big chip on our shoulder, man. A really, really big chip. Oh my
God. I can imagine, because when you look at your record last year, you lost 3 games to Illawarra. You know what I mean? So you win those 3 games, you in first place.
Yeah.
So to bring that team back, yo, listen, man, you guys, the best experience.
Those 3 losses.
One man down.
Hurt, man.
One man down.
Losses hurt. It's kind of hard to watch LaMelo in his highlights, man. I'm like, oh God, that's against us, man. But it's all good, man. I'm happy for him as well, too. So
yeah.
Hey, Liam, last word before we let him go.
Mate, he's kept that same energy, fam.
He has.
Love it.
We doubt. Love it. Cairns Taipans love it. NBL fans love it. And to be fair, we love it from a selfish situation as well, because in NBL overtime, if we run out of things to say, we just play a Cam Oliver highlight. So it works brilliantly for our show into the season as well, man. So we appreciate you. We love you jumping by. We love you back in the league, man. Good luck.
Man, appreciate you guys. Thank you. And see you guys soon for sure. And
to prove my point, boys, I'm going to play a Cam Oliver highlight package right now. Hit it.
You guys enjoy those, man.
Everybody get up, it's time to slam now.
Spin move for Charter. Oh my God. That's an OMG moment, good to the season. Oh my goodness. Oh, what a
the excitement machine. This is Space Cam.
Told you. That's what we do. We run out of things to say, or we don't want to talk to each other for a minute or two. We either play Space Cam's highlights, or we just play top 10 highlights, which traditionally involves him. But there you go. He's back. Taipans fans on top of the world. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. But boys, it leads to sort of one just obvious question. They got one position on the team left. I'm going to start with you, Liam Santamaria. Are you hearing anything? Look, you were the one that
we've been talking about this for like 9 months.
February 6th. February 6th, I went back. This is what you said.
Okay.
Is it coming?
Have I changed?
Right? No, you haven't.
Look, they've done an incredible job, like Corey said in the interview, of bringing back Cam Oliver. And the big challenge for NBL teams when you have a guy that comes here, is at an NBA level and he blows up, is to keep him around, right? That's the challenge. And it's even a bigger challenge for smaller market teams. Can you get that done? And traditionally, Cairns have not been able to get that done. So to be able to bring Cam back on a 2-year deal, nonetheless, okay, it's got that NBA out clause. He's going to look at those opportunities, sure. But that's an enormous result. And as I wrote today, a big step forward for that organization. Now there's one more spot to fill, and we all know the man that they want to get that done with. And if they can make that official, let's term it that. If they can make that official, what an above and beyond just the enjoyment that we all get and what it does for their roster, what an enormous job and result that will be for the Taipans. And you would tip your hat to everybody involved, including the fans, because it's because of that incredible, consistent fan support that puts a club in a position to be able to do those kinds of things.
Here's how I look at this situation. Unless Scott Machado's going to the NBA, I feel he should come back here. Here's why. Everything's in place. You got the biggest finisher, the biggest rebounder, and the leading scorer on your team, right? He's going to, if nothing else, he's going to continue to make you look good, just exactly like you were looking. You were 3 wins away from being first place to a team that you shouldn't have been losing to. That's the reality of the situation. That changes the finals landscape. You got home court advantage. You know, you go down there to Cairns, chances are you're going to lose against them, right? It puts them in a completely different space. There's a pandemic in the world. Why would you go somewhere and risk your season ending versus coming back to a place you can consider home and it's safe? And you know this league will continue. With all that said, why would you not come here? Scott Machado, bring your ass, man. Let's go.
Something that I think obviously Cam spoke about there, and obviously running it back in the way that it's been so disjointed in 2020. We're not really sure how off-season is going to work, how long of a preseason. We still wait for the official start date. It means Cairns are going to jump off the page from the opening night. They've got the same sort of crew back. Now, there'll still be some rust when you haven't played a little bit, but the very fact is that if it is Scott Machado, he knows if he runs one way, he's got Quatnoy, he's got Majuk, he's got Cam Oliver going down. Majuk Deng. And the fact is you got Big Nate off the bench. Mojave King's obviously going to probably squeeze in a couple of little different, I guess, pieces. But the fact is that gives them such an advantage. And it felt like Cam Oliver, Homicide, was really preaching that. It wasn't just a, hey, I feel comfortable in my surrounds. But this team, which took a little while to get going in NBL 20, of course, the best of what happened after the first month, that's not going to happen in 21 whenever it starts. And that gives them a huge leg up when it comes to winning games early and making sure they get the best possible seeding, which might be number one when the playoffs roll around.
I feel you. And now, as we talk about that, we talk about Cairns running it back. Let's not sort of skim over the loss of DJ Newble. All NBL second team defensive player of the year. Really, 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 really important to what that team did last year. Scott Machado and Cam Oliver got all kinds of press because Machado was an MVP candidate and Space Cam was all over the rim. But Newble and the impact he had on winning was enormous. So, okay, you can't bring all 3 of them back. That puts the onus on Kawatnoy and Mirko Jeric to raise their games to another level. We expect both of them to do that. Mirko Jeric is actually much younger than we all kind of think he is. He's just been around for such a long time, didn't go to college. So there's, his projected improvement is still there. But there's no guarantee they do it. If they do, Majuk Deng continues to do the same thing. Mojave King comes in and has an impact. This team could do anything.
Man, I'm worried for Homicide. If the Serbian sniper starts going nuts, God knows where this will go.
And that's the thing. He knows, he was a guy that's been starving for opportunity. He's not going to allow this window of opportunity go to waste. I have every reason to believe that he will step up when it's time for the season to start, as well as Kawhi Noy. Got to remember, the second half of the year, he pretty much was injured, a little less than the second half of the year, but he has some unfinished business to do. And let's not forget about Majuk Deng. These guys know what it takes defensively. They know that the defensive player of the year is gone, who was a great fit player for them. So with him gone, it gives these guys opportunities to step up and show that they can do what he can do.
I'll tell you what, if you're a Taipans fan and you haven't already today re-upped your membership, you better make that happen tomorrow, because there's no chance you're going to roll up to the Snag Pit.
No chance.
On game day and get in that Bunnings building.
You know what? If you roll up without a ticket, you grab your $2 sausage and leave and go back and watch it on the TV, because you're not getting through the doors.
You're not getting in.
Not getting in. While the Taipans continue to work on their roster, of course, with the one spot, the Brisbane Bullets. We seen him in some preseason action over the course of the weekend. We'll get to that shortly. But Orlando Johnson has signed at Brisbane. NBL.com.au for the full analysis, written by this man, Liam Santamaria. Of course, been in the NBA, most recently been in Russia. Some injuries, though, Liam, and we know this guy's a bucket getter. You perfectly described it in your article. If he's able to come full strength, 100% healthy, he's going to be tough to stop. But just from your article, a little bit of nerves about where he's actually at this time of his career.
This is how big the Cam Oliver re-signing is. The Bullets signed a new import with considerable NBA experience and EuroLeague experience, and a guy who's going to put up buckets. And we take 20 minutes to get to him. That's how big it is.
Before you continue, that's, I think, where the NBL is.
Yeah.
If we had a guy with this credentials 5 years ago, we would have spent 3 days talking about it. It would have been the main thing everyone spoke about. Yeah. And the very fact is, in 2020, this is almost, not diminishing how good this guy can be, but this is almost the norm when it comes to signings.
And I'm really excited about what he might be able to come in and do. The word, you spoke about his bio there a little bit, and the pedigree that he has where he's played. The word that I've got, tapping into people in the States and Europe that have watched him play and been around his circles over the last few years is, oh my goodness, he, a few years ago, was a baller. In his time in the NBA, he played considerable minutes right out of college and then was right there on the fringe. Teams kept going back to him, 10-day contracts, short-term deals, because they were like, we know how good this guy is. And then, went over to the EuroLeague. He's a guy that maybe didn't kind of fit in the EuroLeague. He's a guy that likes to play with the ball a little bit, and kind of make plays off the dribble. And, the coaches over there constantly calling on you to move the ball and make a quick decision. But he can really score the ball. Had a few little injury issues a couple of years ago. Played a little bit in like Lebanon and Taiwan in that period of time. But then was on track to have a real bounce back campaign in Russia last year. So he's trying to show that he's back at that level. And heck, a guy like Cam Oliver is a perfect example. He was coming off an ankle injury that cut his G League season short. And he came to the NBL, an open, free-flowing kind of system there in Cairns, to show the world, I'm that guy that you thought I was. And Orlando Johnson's going to come in and try to do the same thing. And Brisbane need him to carry a really big scoring load, and he certainly has the talent to do that.
I had a conversation with him about a month and a half ago, and I talked to him about the situation in NBL, talked to him about Brisbane Bullets, and I merely asked him this one question. The guy who you can potentially be replacing is 2-time first-team All-NBL. He had the ball when it was time to make plays happen and win games and take over the game. He was the guy the last 2 years. Can you do that? Yes. Well, this is the place for you. When you get here, hit me up, whatever you need, I got you. Done. He's ready to go. He's ready to go?
He's ready to go. Will Magnay might be going, but not for the Bullets. Didn't travel, and the reports are that they are preparing the Brisbane Bullets to get into the season without him as he goes to the NBA. Homicide, I'm going to start with you because you were the man who dropped it on us last year at the Blitz. You gave him the two-way Magnay nickname, but it might not be a two-way. We'll start with you. Do you continually don't expect to see him, right?
No, I don't. I think that we have to remember his age. How old is he? 22? 21, 22, right?
22.
So a year ago, he was 21. Mm-hmm. So when I saw him play against an NBL 1 team and was doing the way, moving and doing the things he was doing, it's only because the NBL 1 team would be equivalent to a college team. So technically, he's a college senior, correct? Okay, that's why it wasn't so far-fetched to me to see this kid at that point to get a two-way deal, which if he was, let's just say, imagine he's on a two-way deal. That was last season. So at the end of the year, what would you be at that point? You'd be on the fringe of becoming a rostered player. That's where he is right now. I'm not surprised.
Make no mistake, he's gone. Will Magnay's gone. Every smart NBA team, and there are a lot of them, are all over Will Magnay. And they've been all over him since our man, brought everybody's attention to how good he is. And then when he exploded onto the scene, when they put him into the starting lineup and he stepped out and knocked down triples on Andrew Bogut and led the league in block shots and blew up last season, most improved player, on the podium for Defensive Player of the Year and Best Sixth Man. Incredible breakout campaign. Chris Anstey's out there saying that it's the Dallas Mavericks that are the ones that are closest to getting the deal done. I know the Golden State Warriors still have interest in him. So, I've heard the San Antonio Spurs as well, and a whole bunch of other teams, like I mentioned. Whether it's going to be a two-way or a guaranteed deal, that's still a little bit up in the air. But when you have that many teams interested,
it could never be a two-way.
Right? You start to have that kind of leverage, right? So super exciting. We're not going to go out. There's been a lot of reports about Will Magnay along the way, right? So we're just going to sit back and watch this play out. But super, super exciting for him. Shines another big light on the NBL as a pathway to the NBA. And then, as you say, Cam, it turns the attention towards what the Bullets do to replace him because he's an enormous loss. They do have that import option up their sleeve.
But before we go to that, where does this put him when it comes to the Boomers team in the Tokyo? So if he gets over to the NBA and you look at the development since you raised what you did last year at the Blitz Homicide to where we sit today. Now, of course, the Olympics still 250 odd days away from today. But the very fact is, if he continues that development into an NBA franchise and plays some minutes or whatever he might be, all of a sudden he goes to a legitimate chance because I think the international game suits him the way that he plays as well. He's all of a sudden another guy that we can talk about adding to the depth ranks of this Australian Boomers team.
He's the starting center of the Boomers in Japan. Watch this. That's the starting center of the Boomers in Japan. Watch this.
Ooh, you're sleeping on my man Bainesy here.
Yeah, and Jock Landau.
Oh, okay. Baines. So he's the backup center. My bad, Baines. Shout out to the Ginger. My man Baines. Shout out to the Ginger.
Yeah, big banger. He's gonna.
No doubt. My bad. He's the leading rebounder in double doubles, right?
Right.
But he's the backup center, young fella.
And this is a remarkable rise. It is like a huge, and it continually just continues to develop and get better and better. But before the Blitz, even after the Blitz, and not to suggest that what you were suggesting was wrong, but I don't think anyone sort of had him even on the horizon of being part of a Boomers team for the Olympics. Now, the extra 12 months probably has definitely helped. But all of a sudden, we're talking about guys who may or may not play depending on NBA situations and where their bodies might be and all the rest of it. Will Magnay, full team or otherwise, a legitimate chance to be at the Olympics next year? Like, legitimate.
How would he not be? Yeah. Explain to me how it's a legit. How would he not be?
Well, it kind of depends on Brian Goorjian and where he sits. If you look, you've got Baines, we've got Landau, of course. We've got, if Bogut wants to continue to push towards it, we've got Jonah Bolden. Now, I'm not 100% certain where Jonah Bolden sits and what his professional career looks like in the next 3 or 4 months as they head towards the NBA. So, look, there's always going to be periphery guys that get squeezed in or out. 12 months ago, a little bit more than that, we all assumed that Mitch Creek was going to be in this team when they went to the World Cup. He ends up being there, but only after an injury and a pullout. Brock Modem's another guy who's right on the periphery. So you're right. Will Magnay is right there, but
you're absolutely right. You're right, Cam. This is a great problem to have.
It's a great problem.
This problem, then not enough.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what? Traditionally in our Boomers camps, you have a bolter. You have a guy who comes in and just blows everyone away with the way they go about it. You know, Matty Dellavedova did that when he was still a collegiate at St. Mary's. He came in, ended up starting for us throughout that campaign. Xavier Cooks did that. We didn't end up getting to see him out on the floor, but the way he played at that camp got him onto that team. And
Nick Kay
to be in that mix. I mean, that front line, Nick Kay, exactly. So that front line of Baines and Bogut and Landale and Kay, Will Magnay's going to be right there, ready to take advantage of anybody who's not ready to go. And he's going to be looking to take their spot.
You're right. So is Bogut coming back? Now the question is this. If he doesn't come back, will he be ready for the Olympics? Or does that determine, you know what I mean, whether he plays or not? Because anybody knows at that age, you need to be in some kind of shape to go play on the world stage when you're trying to get a medal. So if he's thinking about playing in Japan, he's going to have to play this season.
I couldn't agree more. I think that if he thinks that he wants to play at the Olympics, then an NBL playing situation is going to have to involve Andrew Bogut. Yeah, Liam, I think that's common sense, right?
And I've been saying this from the get-go. I will not be surprised at all. In fact, I firmly suspect he'll slot back into that Sydney team at some point during the season, because you would imagine clearly he's thinking one last Boomers Olympic campaign to close it out. And that he got to the end of last season with the Sydney Kings and thought, my body actually doesn't feel great. If the Olympics were about to happen, this is not where I want it to be. So I need to reassess it. The main goal is to be cherry ripe for that campaign. So maybe don't play the whole year. So that's what I expect to happen. And hopefully he is on that team. Hopefully he's at a level and his body's feeling good, because he's so good for us at that international level. But make no mistake, Magnay is going to be right there pushing his cause.
All right, let's touch on just quickly, because Kings are going to come up in a split second, because remarkably we sit here today and they don't have a head coach. But we've got to talk about Josh Giddey. Of course, Adelaide and Brisbane, different kind of outfits, definitely for the Brisbane Bullets as well over the course of the weekend. But let's just focus on Josh Giddey, because while it is early and he's not facing a defensive scheme or the teams that he's going to face night in, night out, I'll start with you, Homicide. He just looked ready to go. He looked confident, which is half the battle with some of these young guys when they're getting to pill professionally for the first time. It was fun to watch.
I think that's the biggest thing and the only thing I'm going to take away from this. Comfortable and confident on the court, making decisions. And that's exactly for a young next star who, he's feeling pressure. Obviously with the next stars, what they've done last season, you want to come in and do well. That's just the reality of it. So it was just great to see him out there just, feeling good, looking good, passing the ball well, and just flowing with the game, letting the game come to him.
It was the perfect kind of setup for him to step out for his first NBL action, wasn't it? Because it was at home, it was the comfort of being in Adelaide, nice big crowd there. Lucky they played it when they did, because he wouldn't be getting that today. And it was against a very undermanned Brisbane team, right? So you don't have like all those guys, a Giddey, a Wigness up in your handle as you're trying to advance the ball, and then just the talent of guys like Orlando Johnson and Matt Hodge and all these guys on the floor. So he's playing against a whole bunch of youngsters, guys that he's of an age that he's very comfortable going up against, and he could exactly show what you said there, Corey, just that comfort and that confidence. So a nice little step along the way as he advances towards going up against kind of bigger, stronger, more experienced talent. But what he did put on display was very impressive.
We're about 35 minutes into NBL Overtime. Get involved anytime you like. Hashtag NBL Overtime. And now we are only getting, to give you an indication of how big the week is, we're going to get to the fact that Sydney Kings lost their head coach to the NBA, and Australians in assistant coach in the NBA, and Brian Goorjian's the new coach of the Boomers. We'll start with Will Weaver, Liam, and congratulations to Will, and a remarkable effort. And of course, we're talking reports, not dissimilar to Will Magnay, when so many people are reporting it, when the chatter continues on a daily basis, and then we see that he's over in the US in the last couple of weeks, it felt inevitable that Will Weaver was no longer going to be the Sydney Kings head coach, and he was going to be in the NBA in some way or form. That's how it's ended out. So congratulations. I'm going to ask you, though, firstly, Sydney Kings, what now?
Well, I need a new head coach, but give me a chance to offer my congratulations to Will Weaver, right? Because it's so awesome, and he deserves it. He's really kind of impressed along his journey thus far, and so great to have a coach in the NBL. Corey's been talking about it for weeks. The pathway for players, but also for coaches, and who knows, maybe that's a pathway for GMs and CEOs in the next little while. But great landing spot for Will Weaver. There's turmoil within that organization right now in terms of the roster, but so close to home, so close to where he's from, and his family's got a young child, so going to be great to be around grandparents, and he's going to team up there with Stephen Silas. Really exciting opportunity. Awesome for him. Hopefully we don't completely lose him from Australian basketball. I have a sense he's going to bring in some bit more of an NBL flavor into that Houston Rockets organization soon. We'll see how that plays out. But for the
hey. Yeah, see what he does, Homicide? He just happens to drop some little side out of the side of his mouth. What do you mean?
Well, there's a lot of heat around Jae'Sean Tate to the Houston Rockets. Okay. He's going to be in the NBA next season. I'm very, very confident of that, and he's got a few different opportunities, but the Rockets are certainly in that mix. But the Kings now have to pivot in a different direction. Now, you've got some obvious candidates right there on the bench. Adam Ford, for one. We've spoken at length about him previously. He's going to be a really good head coach in this league if he gets an opportunity. That's the big question mark, whether that comes about, whether that's at Sydney or somewhere else. So that's the guy right there that you can turn to. I think James Duncan, who was on that coaching staff last season, is also a really promising riser in the global coaching ranks. Did great work with Giddey Luzada on the day-to-day last year, and is very highly regarded. And then another guy I was been thinking about the last couple of days, I really feel like Adam Caporn could be a great look there in Sydney. Somebody is going to pick him up at some stage. We know Paul Smith is ready and willing to swing for the fences if he feels like it's the right guy. And with all that young talent on that team, straight out of the COE and that Boomers coaching staff, he could be an interesting candidate as well.
I want to give a shout out to Will Weaver. There's a podcast the other day, Bill Simmons and Ryan Russo, I think the guy's name is. They had the nerve to say that this league is like, it's just trash league. This is what they said. And it pisses me off because as an American, I understand how Americans think, right? Basketball, okay, we're the powerhouse. NBA, yes. But we disrespect other leagues in the world and not even watch it. And that's what's going on right now. Each country has their waves, right? Each continent. Europe had it. At one point, China had the wave. Australia got the wave now. If this man was coaching in a league that is no good, do you believe he would have an opportunity to coach in the NBA? And that's my point. When the NBA is grabbing coaches to bring them from the Australian League to the NBA, you have to understand what's going on down here. You understand what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to Will Weaver, and I just be tired of just hearing nonsense from people who do not do their research and due diligence on stuff that they know nothing about, but they're reporting. But they're experts. How are you an expert? You are an expert in what you cover, respectfully. But if you don't cover it, don't talk bad about it.
That's true. And you're right the way you say it. It's ignorant. It was an ignorant comment from Bill Simmons. And I will say, in Ryan Rosillo's defense, I think he had a bit of a go at what he thought was the setup in Illawarra last season. But when talking to RJ Hampton, he called it a great league. So
stay consistent. That's all we saying.
Yeah, I'll give him a pass. I'm gonna call out Kevin O'Connor just quietly. That's our guy from the Ringer there. I met him at the Summer League last year. When he knows he's not ignorant about our league. So when Bill Simmons, his boss, calls it a garbage league, and he doesn't respond in any way, shape, or form, I feel like that's a bit of a letdown for me. But ignorant comment, and those who have been watching closely, including a whole bunch of NBA people, know what's up.
And to be fair, the proof isn't in the pudding. Apparently it's in the eating. That is the saying I got told was the correct way the other day. The very fact is, as you point out, Homicide, we got guys who's about to be drafted who spent a year here at number 1 and in the lottery. We've got players who continually push towards the NBA. You look at the Australian Boomers outfit. There's NBA players left, right, and center. And now it is coaches who are now making that way. So while there might be some ignorance from commentators right across the world around the NBL, and maybe 5-6 years ago, there might have been some type of truth in it. But the fact is that when these guys continually put their hand up for roles, and major roles, either on or off the court, it just proves how wrong those comments are. So in the end, they can say whatever they want, but the very fact is that people who have been exposed to our league are getting these opportunities, continues to tell us how great the league is going. Including Damien Cotter. Well, you obviously, same part of the world.
I played for
Damien
him.
Cotter.
Yeah.
There you go. You've known him a long time.
Tommy Greer and I played for him at
Yes.
Knox in the Seaball way back when Cots was just getting started. And, people remember him for his short stint with the Sydney Kings. It was a season that didn't go all that well, but, spent time in the national programs with the Opals and the like. And since then has been doing his thing in that US system. And last season was the head coach of the Capital City Go-Go, one of the best names in basketball, in the world of basketball.
And still the reason that Tasmanian aren't the Tasmanian Go-Go's, because they already have the name taken by another.
So you know what go-go means in DC? Go-go's a dance. That's like the biggest dance that stems from DC.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Well, we didn't see Cotter. He's been doing the coaching dance just quite nicely. So he worked with Justin Simon last year on that squad and helped him kind of advance his game. And they really liked what he did with that team, and has this opportunity with Chicago. The NBL Facts, the stat man says, he's the first Australian on an NBA coaching staff, Australian-born guy. Now, we know Matt Nielsen did some work with the Spurs for a period of time, but a full-time role on what I think will probably be the front bench of that Chicago Bulls coaching staff, kudos.
Huge opportunity. And joining a team that, while they haven't had a great deal of success in recent years, they've actually got a nice young nucleus that they can all develop together and hopefully have some success. Now, remarkably, Goorj will finally get to the coach of the Australian team, Brian Goorjian. And of course, we spoke a lot about this in the last couple of weeks since Brett Brown stepped down. I'm going to start with you, Homicide, because you were straight a fact that Brian Goorjian will be the man to lead this team, and it turns out that way.
Well, Brian Goorjian has been a Boomers coach before. He has experience on the highest of high levels. We know his success in the NBL. We know he's helped groom a lot of these young, talented players that are older now on this team. He has the relationship. They love and respect him. He loves and respects them. And as he said on this show after that practice, it was just an absolute honor to be a part of Australian basketball, coaching the Boomers and representing this country. So, I mean, it all aligns and adds up. So I'm not surprised.
Just a quick correction for Cotter. He was with the Go-Go the year before. It was the Windy City Bulls last year that he was coaching with Justin Simon. Yes, great pick. Great appointment. He was the obvious choice. He was the man to take this on. Has the respect and the admiration and the relationships with those key guys. If it wasn't going to be Brett Brown that was going to get Ben Simmons into the lineup, well, Brian Goorjian's probably that guy, right? We know Ben Simmons went through Box Hill Senior Secondary with Kevin Goorjian, right? Has that really strong relationship. So he's the man to take on the job, and hopefully he can take us to that elusive medal.
It's exciting. It is exciting. And as Homicide touched on, he has had that opportunity before. So from an international perspective, he is coach. We know he's been away. He's here. The Hawks, great things coming out of the Hawks. I do see the offer that he got from China to buy him out. So that's how committed he is to the Hawks and, of course, Australian basketball, which is not at all one bit surprising to myself and probably many others. But the passion.
Sorry to cut you off. Let me explain this. So as soon as Dory announced Brian Goorjian as the coach, a Chinese team in the CBA called Dory and said, we will pay you $1 million to take over his contract and his services. And, immediately Dory and the owners, as well as obviously Goorjian, said no, because they were committed to what's going on down there with their club and building a foundation from the go. How bad would it look 5 minutes after, announcing this one of the greatest coaches in Australian basketball history appointed to your club, and then you lose him to a buyout? That's not the way you want to start off.
No.
Building a foundation with the club. So yeah, that's what they did down there, and that shows the commitment.
Mind you, would have been probably a nice little $1 million investment he made overnight.
little Bunsen burner.
But that goes to show you the relationship Goorjian has with Dory and the commitment that they are together moving forward, along with the other owners. But Goorjian's been gone for 11 years. How many people have tried to get Goorjian back here? Every year. Every year, everyone. Dory made it happen. So Brian Goorjian was committed, and shout out to them.
And how good are you feeling if you're a guy like Deng Adel right now? He's like, oh, and you're now the national coach? It just keeps getting better.
Look, there are so many intriguing storylines, of course, from NBL 21 when we finally get underway. But the fact is, I can't wait to see these. Like, obviously, Brian Goorjian, for obvious reasons, the way they've been able to construct this team, Deng Adel being the man, because he's going to, it's just going to be a really, really fun thing to watch. And I think if we get closer to the year, there's probably about 200 of these storylines we're going to discuss. But right now, I'm looking forward to how this Hawks team go. It haven't been, rough year last year. The LaMelo Ball, of course, it was great. It was by far the highlight. But the fact is, I'm pumped to see how this actually goes and looking forward to them getting on court as I am. We're counting down.
I thrive on your enthusiasm, Cam.
Oh, I'm psyched. And the very fact is, when we have preseason games, and I know they're a little bit different to how the traditional preseason normally opens, but the fact is we are getting closer. We are getting closer to seeing the NBL season, and hopefully there's an announcement sometime soon into that actually starting. It also helps when Champion comes on board and then releases the new jerseys, and we get psyched to see some of the jerseys that are getting thrown around. Do you have a favorite one, Homicide?
Oh man, I'm going with the Hawks.
Ooh.
I'm feeling that red and black. Now, I can't pick the ball. I mean, I respect them, but if I'm gonna pick a team as far as jersey colors, and I'm picking red, white, and black, I would sound like a bandwagon guy if I picked the Wildcats. So I'll go with the Hawks. Shout out to the Wildcats.
They look good, the champion jerseys. I think they just look sharp and kind of like high level. I like the fact that not every team went completely different. It's good to have a bit of continuity, I think, with your look, so that people who bought a jersey last year can rock back up to the stadium and feel like they're right in amongst it. So I quite like that. And my favorite's the Breakers, though. Having said that, they've completely changed their look.
Yeah.
I like it, though. They rolled out that City edition last year that was kind of that Miami Vice type of style, and that was awesome. And obviously got a whole bunch of great feedback on that and said, you know what, let's incorporate that kind of look into our jersey. And I like the fact they've got that unique Maori design right there, a part of their uniform for the whole year. And it's meaningful. It looks great. The roster's stacked. I'm on board.
I actually like the Southeast Melbourne Phoenix jerseys and the white ones I'm talking. I like the fact they're shouting out a brewery on the front of them. To be fair, I like the occasional beer. Mountain Goat Breweries come on board and just whacked it straight on the front. So I like the jersey. Beer. It's straight up. I don't know how post-game functions are going to go this year when it comes to social distancing and all the rest of it, but the brewery isn't too far away from one of their main home courts at Melbourne Arena there. So let's hope we all reap the rewards when the Phoenix have a win.
That's a good jersey too. I think I've got that number 2.
I did. You know what I did like? I seen someone tweet yesterday, is Dane Pinot the first person to have his name on the front and the back? And I didn't understand it. Took me a couple of minutes to work out, but then I see the big goat. So clearly it's a Dane Pinot burner account that he's got rolling.
Dane Pinot's number one fan. Must be Felix von Hoff.
Might well be. But they do look great. And you're right. The fact is that you can drastically change it, but there are others that are going to stay with what they've already liked. And the fact is the jerseys in the last couple of years have been pretty cool as well. So big shout out going forward for the champion range of jerseys. All right. Some sad news over the weekend as well in the passing of legend, STORMIN Norman Taylor, of course, superstar. He was a legend in the NBL and was still huge lover of the game as well. And very sad passing. It started to break on Twitter over the weekend. And in the end, we're going to miss the big man, but geez, he could put up some buckets, Liam Santamaria.
Sure could. Wasn't in the league for a long time, but he had a good time. In his 3 seasons and put up enormous numbers. What did he average? Like 27 and 10 over the course of his career. Had a season of like 30 and 12. Just night after night after night was a bucket in the low block. He was like Ty Webster on steroids down there. Ty Wesley, sorry, on steroids. You couldn't guard him down there. And great personality, immersed himself into the community, stuck around. Norman's his chicken shop became well known in the area, and he was just a big guy with a big game and a big heart, and everybody loved him. And we're sad to see him go.
If you jump on Homicide, if you haven't seen too much going on around the country at NBL, jump on wherever you get your NBL content, be it Twitter, Facebook, NBL TV, whatever it might be. We put up his 54-point game last night. He dropped 54 on Dean Uthoff, which isn't overly easy to do. And what I like to say, Homicide, and I want to see this happen, and I know there's almost no chance of this happening in our current climate, but I do love to see fans storm the court when there's a big win. And he's on 52, and everyone runs he's shooting foul shots after the game, and there's just people standing right next to him ready to get his autograph. It is a remarkable scene. So check that out, because he was a bucket, but also a guy that probably handled one of the most unique situations in NBL history perfectly. Nuts. Check it out. I know, it blows your mind. I can't even describe. If you haven't seen it, check it out, because he's actually shooting. Have you seen it, Liam?
Yeah,
he's shooting foul shots, and there's people standing next to him. Like, there's this little girl about to ask her hero for his autograph, and he said, just let me drop my 53rd and 54th point, and then I'll take a photo with you. It's nuts.
Yeah, our thoughts are obviously with his family and everybody who knew him and loved him, because, as I said, he was well known and well loved in the area, and a sad loss to the NBL family. No doubt. Very well said. All right, hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. It's good to have a drink. It's been a big show, boys. It has.
That's water, not anything from the Mountain Goat Brewery either way.
We got the draft in a couple of days.
Look. Should we do an NBL Overtime draft special later in the week? I'm just spitballing.
Yo, come on. We have to.
Yeah, I agree. Because we're going to have, obviously, a Ball, Hampton, Green. They're remarkably, when we have an Australian who's so highly rated traditionally, we're going nuts, and we will, no doubt. But the very fact is that it's been overshadowed by this Next Start program that has taken the world by storm. So I think we need to do something. Liam, are you free?
I'm in. Did you notice? Did you see ESPN's latest mock draft dropped today or yesterday? Did you see it?
Hit us.
Oh, our man slipped off the top spot just quietly on, according to Jonathan Gavoni and Mike Schmitz. He's at number 3 now. But interestingly,
hang on. Who's ahead of him?
Anthony Edwards, at number 1.
Who's 2?
I would imagine it's Wiseman. I didn't look too closely, but I imagine it's Wiseman.
Because I did see comments and quotes from Wiseman this morning that said Minnesota haven't even spoken to me.
Well, I'm pretty sure it's Wiseman at number 2 on that list, going to the Warriors. But I want to point your attention also to the other end of the draft.
Go on.
Because our man Gavoni has Justinian Jessup getting drafted at this point, a couple of days out from the draft, number 56. the Illawarra, the Hawks next star recruit. So that's this draft. For the first time in a long time, I'm not going to miss a second. You know, like you got to watch from pick 1 to pick 60 if you have an interest, not just in the NBA, but a vested interest in the NBL.
Ah, geez, it's exciting. I'm pumped, psyched. Hashtag NBL Overtime. So maybe we should have asked the bosses before we came up with a special NBL Overtime draft show, but we'll try and get it through in the next couple of days. Any last words, boys?
Man, we done gave all the words today. Big show.
That is true. Hashtag NBL Overtime to get involved. We're getting out of here. Hopefully see you later in the week when we can get this up. I'm pretty confident we will. We'll see you then.
Peace.